Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of United Talks podcast. And today, we're basically going to be doing the presser review show, where we're going to be analyzing everything with regards to what Michael Carrick said ahead of the West Ham game taking place tomorrow, as of the time of recording. But basically, the headline for the press conference was basically that you have to ride the emotions, and we have to fight for everything, fight to the very end, right? So yeah, so Michael Carrick appreciates his club, West Ham, the first club, West Ham United, and he appreciates the fact that it represents a difficult test as Manchester United travel to the London Stadium for Tuesday night's Premier League contest, right? Now, with two informed sides going head to head, basically, it promises to be an interesting battle. And then Carrick discussed the clash in detail with journalists in the pre-match press conference. This pre-match press conference happened almost immediately after the post-match presser for the Spurs game, and we just released today. And I don't think there's going to be an embargoed version. So this is all we're going to get, because the team travels away to London, so there's not going to be a second one. In addition to touching upon the team news with a threat posed by the host, Carrick talked about, needing to feel the emotion of our recent victories, because it would be boring not to, and accepted the challenge that lies ahead in the capital. He also explained the flexibility within our attacking positions, and we look for a fifth successive win. Now, now we're going to analyze this without actually having heard anything. I've not heard anything. Been at work, been busy and stuff, but yeah, we're just going to analyze based on what we've seen, and we'll talk about it. So basically, the first question they asked him was, has there been any improvement in defensive record being down to what you've been doing behind the scenes? Because 2 clean sheets here, when clean sheets have been really hard to come by, especially at home, that must be really pleasing for you. And what have you been doing behind the scenes to shore things up? Before I read Carrick's response, one thing I can say for a fact is the fact that obviously there was 2 clean sheets before Michael Carrick came on, and there's 2 clean sheets after he came on. Even though if you look at it within the short space of time, he's had more clean sheets, right? Which is super interesting and amazing, right? And it is good. 2 clean sheets in 4, that is like an astounding record. And definitely something has changed, and people are beginning to believe, but can he make it 5 in a row? I know a lot of people are waiting for him to fail. And I said this severally on this channel. I said that Michael Carrick is one manager that I think that we can just back. But, you have to question the board for their decisions and everything in between. But yeah, it is what it is. Michael Carrick said, yeah, it's pleasing for sure. I think a lot. It's a lot. It's not easier, but it's a lot. It's easier to win games without having to score so many goals every week. But for sure, we do seem to be a team that can cause a lot of problems and create opportunities and score goals. So it's definitely getting the balance right. There's still things to improve on. It's definitely something we focused on, of trying to be better as a team collectively. When we don't have the ball, but also 3 or 4 weeks we're going to fix everything, and all of a sudden looks perfect. So it's understanding that little bit, but yeah, I think the boys have responded really well to what we've asked them. And the clean sheets, as much as everything today, Sunday, which was basically as of Saturday, the clean sheets was important for us. That's what Michael Carrick said with regards to keeping the clean sheet. So yeah, basically the clean sheets, it's very important for us. It's been helpful, making it easier for us to actually navigate things and basically get a clear understanding of what we want to achieve with regards to that. And long may it continue. Like I said, Carrick is one manager we can back, right? Now, the next question with regards to that was, what sort of challenge does this team like West Ham, which is good. You talk about the previous game. That's why it's a press conference, pretty much press conference. You talk about the previous game, then you talk about the next game, right? What sort of challenge does West Ham pose for you? Obviously, they are fighting relegation towards the bottom of the table. Is it a different challenge to approach? Basically, very good question. Very, very good question. So I think you've got to go into the game understanding the situation of both teams. We've tried to paint our picture to the players in every game we've played so far, and it will be the same come Tuesday night. The type of game, the feel of the game, what kind of skills we're going to have to try and draw on. Different games throw up different things, and yeah, for sure, teams towards the bottom of the league are really fighting for things. Well, so are we. and we've got a lot of a lot to fight for. So it's, you like to think that that it balances out in some ways, and it's who can come out on top at the end of it. But for sure, we're totally aware of what we're going into on Tuesday night and how difficult it will be. And that's a pretty smart question and all of that. And the next question basically was with regards to Michael Carrick's thoughts on Nuno Espirito Santo. And the question is like, what do you make of West Ham under Nuno Espirito Santo? Excuse me. And he says, well, yeah, there's a bit of a change. I think injuries as well is difficult. I think they are very good on transition, very dangerous. They got some really good attacking players. I mean, i.e. Somerville. We've looked at them already and kind of have an idea idea with that, as they will have done for us, But yeah, they're a threat, and when they get ahead of steam at home, they're a dangerous team. So definitely got to be ready to cope with all of that. And that is pretty much straightforward. I mean, self-explanatory, nothing to talk about. You just give respect to West Ham and say, you know what, they're a threat and we're going to have to deal with them. And we're going to have to, play and, adapt our style, adapt our game to them. Now to the next question that was asked was with regards to not getting carried away. And my Carrick has said this several times, and he said it again. He says, you said in virtually every press conference that you won't get carried away. You won't allow people get carried away as well. When you took over at Middlesbrough, you won a lot of matches. There were a couple of defeats, but you won a lot of matches. Is there anything from that period that you can learn about this period and keeping focused and maintaining your sights on the next game and not getting carried away? Because it's an easy thing to say. This question, yeah. The person asked the question. I don't know who this person is, so we're just analyzing. The person asked the question, then answered the question. So the person said, you've said in every press conference you're not going to get carried away, you're not going to let the team carried away. But when you get carried away, but when you took over at Middlesbrough, you won a lot of matches, and there were a couple of defeats, but you also won a lot of matches. Is there anything from that period that you can learn about this period? So comparing that period at Middlesbrough and this period, I think the person was trying to make an interesting question and keeping focus. Now he says, is there anything you learned from that period at Middlesbrough and this period at Man United? And then answer the question saying keeping focused. Like, obviously you're going to keep focused, maintain your sights on the next game. I mean, that's what my character was in Middlesbrough, and not getting carried away. That's like, so what's your question? Right? What's your question? You say, but that's an easy thing to say. These guys. Anyway, so we're gonna, somebody in the comment section in one of our videos says it's a theater when it comes to Man United's press conference, because basically they're looking for the next best quote to actually put on social media, because Man United generates them clicks. So we're going to talk about that basically. So he says, no, it's really easy, an easy thing to say, and it's a really easy thing to say. And listen, part of it, you've got to enjoy the buzz of winning, right? You have to just try to tell this guy to use his common sense, right? And that's what we are. That's what we are in it for. You've got to manage the highs of it, and you've got to enjoy it. Initially, the feeling of winning a game, you can't kind of just be flatlined at all times. But certainly going into the next game, you've got to then regroup and prepare again for what's next. But you definitely take the confidence and the feeling from the games that you've had, knowing you can go into the next game with a little bit more feel-good factor about it. But I guess the big challenge is knowing what's got you there, and all the hard work and the preparation, and then what it takes to win a game of football at this level. It's tough, so never assume that the next one's just going to be all right. But you've still got to allow yourself to feel the little bits of waves of emotions with it, because it's all a little bit boring and pointless if you didn't. Really, to be honest, winning games is what we are all striving for, you know. The boys have been good with that, though they have managed it really well and kind of had the high of the win, come back into training and focused on the next one, and then we've got to keep that going. So basically just saying in overall that the boys, they're staying grounded. They've come back from the highs of the win. They've come back into training, and the most important thing is to stay focused on the next one. Now, they have been basically asking, the guy asked the question and basically answered it, and now Michael Carrick has given him the same answer back. I mean, like, you just tend to want to pinch yourself, like, what is really going on with these guys? Like, they seem like they want to ask an intelligent question and they bottle the question and all of that. Oh, you've said this. Okay, if you say, oh, you've said we've got to stay, we've got to not let ourselves get carried away and all of that, then what have you done? That's the best way to ask the question. What have you done to ensure that you don't stay carried away, you don't get carried away, and the players also don't get carried away? Michael Carrick will be able to answer straightforward, but you can see, like, he was just trying to find the right answers and everything. Yeah. So, anyway, let us go to the next one. So, basically, Michael Carrick is smart, and he just gives you back what you give him and all of that, right? He's been media trained, obviously, and he's one manager I think, like I said, we can back. Now, let's go to the next one. Yeah. I think I know where this question is coming from. So, the question was from Simon Stone, because here he asked the question and he says, you won't do what your old manager used to do, give the players a bashing, but I think they oh yeah, bashing, kind of like a bollocking. That's what they're trying to say. I think that's what they're trying to say, but I'll call it bashing, basically. Even when they've won a game and anything like that, like, what sense can we make from this question? Where it said, oh, there's a time and a place for everything, Simon. Like, oh my God, Carrick, this is disappointing to coming from Simon Stone, isn't it? Like, from the BBC. Anyway, next one is, hi Michael, you said Bruno said on TV after the game that you remember what he said to you last time you were a manager, that you were going to be a great manager, and he still believes it. Can you remember what he said to you the last time you were in charge about that? You've told him what he said. Can you remember that he said that? And how does it make you feel to hear someone talk about you like that? Is Michael Carrick a kid? Anyway, let's hear what Michael Carrick said. Yeah, no, I've known Bruno for quite some time, you know, really pretty well. And seen him the odd time when I've left the club and bumped into him at times as well, seeing him the odd time. So I've got a really good relationship with him, you know. I understand how much he is, how much he's a really intelligent footballer. He's bright. He cares a lot about the club. So in terms of the side of it, we all want the same thing, you know. It's obviously nice when players that you respect, as I do with Bruno a lot, say good things about you, but ultimately it's about the team, and you know, and getting the best out of the team, and actually that's all working together. So time will tell, you know. It's, my Carrick says a lot of, you know, it's about judging how good or successful we are at the moment, or at this moment in time, because nothing's really happened yet, you know. Again, we've hopefully got a lot more to do between now and the end of the season, and see what happens after that. So that was pretty much what Michael Carrick said with regards to that. You know, nothing big, nothing major and all of that. Then the next one was an injury. This is related to the game, obviously. Injury update with regards to Mason Mount. And the question was, Michael, can I ask you, team news wise, will Mason Mount be in contention to be back? And also Matthijs de Ligt. With Matthijs de Ligt, could he be fit after the FA Cup break? Mason will probably not for Tuesday, because probably after, but definitely going into the Everton game, he'll be back. Mata, we will see how he develops over the FA Cup game. Obviously, he says, you know, again. Cup game. The Everton game feels like a long time away at the moment, so we will see how he develops. He's positive, he's moving in the right direction, but Mason Mount is a little bit closer than him, so we shall see. Maybe 2 weeks, with 2 weeks in break in between from Tuesday to the next game. That will be super interesting to see. Yeah, Mason Mount is going to be back probably for the FA Cup game, and that will take Tyler Fletcher out of the squad and bring Mason Mount back into the squad. And yeah, so now this next question says, absolute tangent, and I apologize in advance for asking this. Why are you apologizing? If you know the question is going to be a little bit offensive, or not basically going to be in one direction, why don't you just ask the right questions? He says, absolute tangent, and I apologize for asking this, but there is a young lad. Okay, there's a young lad who is waiting to get a haircut. Oh, the United Strand. Yeah, I think I saw some of these videos making the rounds for Man United, on social media about his response to that. So there's a young lad waiting to get a haircut, and it's been a while. He's just wondered how aware you are of him, and that will go into your team. That will go into your team talk ahead of West Ham. Like, the question is, will that go into your team talk ahead of the West Ham game? That's basically the question that this, like, yeah. How is it? Maybe for banter, but in a serious game where you're trying to get points, you're talking about United Strand. I mean, I'm not saying United Strand is not relevant, but is he a staff of the club? He's a fan who is very concerned, and I appreciate and respect the guy, because the truth is, it's painstaking to actually keep your hair that long until Man United win 5 games in a row. Oh my days. For more than almost 2 years, right? Michael Carrick responds in the most mature way possible. He says, I can say I'm aware of it. Yeah, my kids have made me aware of it. And so, yeah. If anything, but it certainly won't go into the team stock. Perfect. Because from a professional level, that is an unprofessional question to ask, but I can understand what's going on with it. It doesn't make me smile. Oh, it does make me smile, but it won't have an impact ultimately in the end. That's the fact. And then the last question that was asked, because the truth is, I don't see how that's related to the game, man. Yeah, we need to win 5 games on the spin, but for you to even apologize ahead of asking the question says a lot about you and what you think and how unimportant that question is. Now, the next question is, you mentioned about Bruno Fernandes getting his goal on the left side. Earlier in the first half, there was a moment you indicated to Ahmad that you wanted him to switch to the right. I just want to know a little bit more about how you let your front players interpret their roles. There seems to be a great deal of creative freedom. And Michael Carrick say, yeah, within reason, as long as you carry out the roles properly. I mean, it's not a total free-for-all. I mean, this is one very good question as well. Basically asking, okay, how do you communicate your role, the player roles and everything, and how will the players align themselves and everything in between? And he basically answers the question the right way, right? He says, oh, it's not a free-for-all where you can kind of go and decide. It's a little bit of where you end up. Bruno is that type of player where he understands the different roles and plays them particularly well. And Brian has done very similar. So has Matthijs as well, playing sometimes through the middle and sometimes off the left. So it does give us the variety. I think they are all suited to different kinds of roles. Ahmad is probably more of a naturally being wide, and so that's a little bit more predictable, if you like. Now, the flexibility certainly helps us as long as we look after the positions when we don't have the ball. That's what it is, basically. Being versatile, being able to carry out tasks and being able to do the right things when necessary and everything in between. So, long may it continue. And I love the fact that he's talking about the players being very versatile, being able to apply themselves to the role and everything in between. And that was Michael Carrick's press conference. And we reviewed it, and I don't think there's going to be an embargoed version. Everything that they would ask has been asked. So we're going to continue to observe. We're going to continue to make sense of what is available to us. Man United go away to West Ham, and we hope that Man United can be able to engineer a win or grind out a win. in any way possible, but it is what it is. Let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section. The next video you're going to be seeing, what's the next video going to be? Oh, I don't think there's going to be any next video. Yeah, there's not going to be any video. Yeah, but next video is going to be the match review. Maybe we'll do another video before the game starts tomorrow, but it is what it is. Let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section. If anything breaks, we'll bring it to you. Yeah, but let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section as we continue to look forward towards the West Ham game. I'll see you on the next one. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. If you haven't already, please do like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything as it relates to Manchester United. I'll see you on the next one. Take care, goodbye, and God bless.